37th Sutra is the Sutra connected to the Asteya. Asteya Pratisthayam Sarvaratnopasthanam. Asteya Pratisthayam Sarvaratnopasthanam. Asteya Pratisthayam Sarvaratna Upasthanam. Asteya is non-stealing. Pratisthayam, established in that, rooted in that. Sarva Ratna, Sarva is all. Ratna generally refers to ornaments, jewels, wealth. So Sarva Ratna, all wealth, all jewels, all ornaments. Sarva Ratna. Upasthanam. Upasthanam. Come near. Come near. They come near. So by being established in Asteya, all wealth comes near to him. This is the importance of Asteya, non-stealing. But we should always remember the practices are not just simply external practices of just non-stealing like that. Even at the thought level, we have seen the highest dimension of the practices. Mahavrata, Kayena Vacha, Manasindriyirva, Buddhyatmana va Prakriti Svabhava. At that level, Kayena, Vacha, Manasa, Indriya, Buddhya, and even this spontaneously, Prakriti Svabhava, even by naturally practicing Asteya, non-stealing, not just stealing something, even that thought in the mind of possessing something, that is to be removed. Then what happens? Sarva Ratna Upasthanam. But just if we see the sutra, it looks that a person who have mastered or established in Asteya practice, all jewels come to him. It looks something very typical, that he doesn't want anything, but jewels will come. It doesn't mean that it's just dropping from the sky and coming flying over from somewhere. A clear understanding should be is that when we have risen above this tendency of Steya completely and would not even think of taking anything, even if a treasure, wealth fall within our grasp, you are walking somewhere and you see a 1,000 rupee note, or you see a gold coin, or somebody is having a wealth. That thought of not taking, that thievishness. And then when we rise, then the law is very clear that Sarvaratna Upasthanam it is. That's the important dimension which we see here. And that is the practice is so clear, so important, that it is something like a person who doesn't steal at all. People trust him. People honor him of his simplicity. And being a trustee, being a man of honesty, being a person who doesn't have an idea of grabbing. People trust and preserve their own things with them. And this is how the sutra has to be properly understood. From all directions, precious things will come to him. People will present themselves before him. Vivekananda says, the more you fly from the nature, the more she follows you. And if you don't care for her at all, she becomes your slave. The nature means this wealth, ratnas. That is true even in our own lives. And we should be clear that Ratnopasthanam means it is not that you recognize some hidden treasures, you recognize some closed treasures. Out of our own respecting and honoring our own sincerity and honesty, people trust our character and offerings will come. And that is the Sarvaratna Upasthanam. And the 38th sutra is one of the most important and powerful sutra, where Maharshi talks about the importance and the result of Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya pratisthayam viryalabhaha. Brahmacharya pratisthayam viryalabhaha, he calls it. Brahmacharya is continence, free from sensual, sexual thoughts. Pratisthayam, established, rooted in that. What happens? Viryalabhaha, vitality, vigor comes. We have to understand these words quite carefully, more deeply and more subtly, with a wide range. Brahmacharya, though it means generally understood as free from the sensual enjoyment or particularly the sexual enjoyment, sexual thought, sexual pleasure, Brahmacharya means Brahmaiva charanti, movement towards Brahman, the oneness, that spirit in all. Means a life, an attitude, a behavior, a lifestyle towards recognition of the Ishwaratva in all. Way of life, the style of life, which is towards realizing the God, Ishwaratva, the oneness in all, that common power in all, the one in all. That lifestyle is Brahmacharya, Brahman. And normally, little bit deeper is a life of dedication, a life of commitment, a life of absolute one-pointedness, a fixed goal, positive goal, and you train the life, you tailor the life, adjust the life in such a way the whole life is moving in the particular direction. All the resources connected to the life, all the requirements of the body needs, all the mental thoughts, all the direction of the flow of the thoughts, all the movement, direction, requirements hungers of the indriyas, all are directed to one direction, one point. One pointed intelligence, vyavasayatmika buddhi. All these things are put together. We should name it as brahmacharya, a life of dedication and a life of commitment, a life where you live for a high ideal, a high philosophical ideal, where a life is a dedicated and devoted life for the common cause and benefit of the many people. Seva vrataha, dharma vrataha, yajna vrataha. And that is the brahmacharya life. And that way of life, what it comes? It rejuvenates the whole body and the mind. Tremendous energy comes. And that is the virya. That is the vitality. And that intense power of the mind, power of the character, the fiery character, a fiery behavior. As it is said generally, people will think twice. People will be afraid to point a finger against a person's character, because the character is like a agni, it's a fire. That is called brahmacharya, and that character brings out tremendous strength, inner strength. That is vigor. And dependent on himself or herself. Because brahmacharya is not only for the men, it is also for the women. As we are seeing the entire yoga practices in the Yoga Shastra, it is not just men and women, it is for all. Humanity, human being, not Stri and Purusha. It is for all. Just for a reference, we should remember that brahmacharya is not only for the, or it not addressed only for the men. It is for all. And it is not addressed, concerned only with grown up, old, young or child. It is for all. But when it is specifically a sense enjoyment and particularly a sexual pleasure, then it comes a particular class and particular age. But brahmacharya is a totality of the life has to be taken into it. And it is laid down that then alone the person becomes fit to impart of the yoga. Some of the traditional texts and interpretations will say, unless a person has conquered this pleasure of the sex, he is not fit to impart yoga. As a caution, we should remember, because when we teach yoga, many people come to our classes. Our behavior, our handling of practically the students should be very careful. Whether instructor is a man or a woman, student can be a man and a woman. What relationship we develop, with what eye, with what view we teach and look, the inner attitude and vision. Brahmacharya principle should guide all the practitioners of yoga. And that is then the inner strength, that self-confidence comes into us. And let us be practitioners of this brahmacharya. And as it was part of the yama, one of the upanga of the yama, let us see the further sutras. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.